Shaun, I don't know what we were expecting. Manchester City are in fantastic form. But that for English football as a showcase, and I guess for the Football League, whose showcase of showcases it is, there was no contest. I wasn't a neutral. I'm sure for a neutral, it was a difficult watch.
Yeah, I would agree with you. It wasn't much fun when you set aside a certain amount of pages in your paper, and you want to talk about all sorts of incidents. And Des has been there; he knows what it's like. And it was quite difficult to pick out lots of different things from it. I did rather get the impression for Spurs fans that they were less annoyed about losing because Mourinho wasn't the manager. I think you're probably in the same camp there. You know, it was almost like,
I am, yes.
Oh well, never mind. As opposed to they would have gone a bit nuts because let's be honest, they played like a Mourinho team there. They was like trying to hold back and then
yes and no, Shaun. I think you have to be very careful with Manchester City. The difference between playing like a Mourinho team and being outclassed can look very similar when you're playing Manchester City.
I accept that, but I do believe if Mourinho had been the manager there, you might have more than one shot, which was pretty woeful, wasn't it? And I don't think Harry Kane was fit. I understood the need to get him on the pitch and his desire to play. But he didn't look like it was there, and they couldn't get the ball off them, could they, Dan? I mean, it was as simple as that. And you've got to salute Man City as well. We get a lot of talk about how Carabao Cup, they don't care and all of that. And let's be honest, in a week when they've wanted to break away to the Super League, it probably seems like they don't. But when the players get out there, when Guardiola gets out there and actually competing for it, to win 4 of those trophies in a row, it's invariably a big club that wins that trophy. Mourinho, your old friend, he used to swear by it as well, trying to win it. So it does have its merits. There's a big occasion, fans in the stadium making a lot of noise. Well done to them. At least they were mic'd up to make a lot of noise. A sunny day, all those things. I think Shaun is right. It's too easy to start straight in on the losers. And let's be fair, football is always about the losers. That is the story. But he is right to mention Manchester City, who are... I mean, I tried to watch it with a neutral eye when I watched the game the second time. And Shaun, incidentally, I've now, because you get onto my case, I watched the whole 90 minutes.
I knew you wouldn't get a word in about Tottenham there too.
Every last second. No, by all means.
You did watch the whole game.
I did watch the whole, and then I watched it again and tried to watch it as a scientist.
What?
And the City, it's like surgery, isn't it? It's like, as I said on Twitter, it's surgery without anaesthetic, isn't it? They were great.
They were great, and they are great, and the reason why they win is because they have the best second team in the Premier League. That's when Shaun says the big clubs usually win it. It's because they have the depth to do that. They have the resources. I thought the result was going to be very easy to predict once Jose Mourinho was sacked, because that was the best hope of winning the match. Not because I've got anything against Ryan Mason. Because I thought Mourinho was creating anything that looked positive lately, and he'd lost patience and he's fallen into a familiar pattern of criticising players, but he would have been able to set up a side that would have made it much more difficult for City, as he has done before. There's no better manager at stifling Manchester City. You win it with counter-attacks, penalties, whatever, he'd do it. Spurs would have more likely a chance of winning. Now, that's the problem, isn't it? The problem was they didn't really want Mourinho winning the trophy, because from that point on, he uses it to justify his methods. There may be bonuses involved, I don't know. Would he toe the line with the ongoing scandal that was happening around him as well? So I think it was exactly as we expected. Man City overwhelmed them, and the counter-attack didn't work, for one of the reasons being Harry didn't look 100%. Absolutely right.
Well, let me ask you then, I mean, whatever about Ryan Mason's inexperience, and we will talk about Tottenham, it is a cup final. Do you think that those Spurs players can honestly say to themselves they left every ounce of themselves out on that pitch at Wembley? I didn't see... I mean, the tackles that were going in from Manchester City players. The referee was given decisions to make. They looked a nervous wreck, Spurs, for a start, but they also, Shaun, I think the players got to take some responsibility here. They didn't look committed to the game even.
I don't think it's fair to say they weren't committed. I think when you're chasing a team like Man City and they're keeping the ball to a point where it's driving you mad and you're moving from side to side on the pitch and backwards and you just can't get it, it looks bad, but I think I do believe they were trying. But they're just not anywhere near in the same class, even though they've got some good players. Their strength in depth, I suppose, is nowhere near what Manchester City's is, as Des was remarking on. And City are in a confident state as well. Spurs are in a state of disarray between managers. You know, what's going to happen to some of them at the end of the season? You know, you bring in somebody like Harry Winks, who's been out in the cold. He doesn't affect the game. Dyer, not really the player he once was. And they just looked a bit of a shambles, really. Yeah,
and you talk about depth, though. I was talking to a Liverpool supporter this morning who was saying, you know, you look down the bench, Spurs brought onto the pitch a player who was in a World Cup winning squad in Sissoko, Dele Alli, who less than 2 years ago was valued at £100 million, Gareth Bale, multiple trophy winner. But of course, all these players are at different stages of either being running their career down or having been reduced to jelly by with all due respect, Shaun, the previous manager over the past year and a half. It was a perfect storm for me of Manchester City's brilliance and a Spurs team that are, at the moment, if not a rabble, certainly nowhere near the sum of all their parts.